Dragon Ball Legends versus Dokkan. The debate that's raged on through both communities for years. And with Dragon Ball Legends being over 7 years old now, and Dokkan being over 10 years old, there's going to be a lot to cover. But I'm getting to the bottom of it. I'm going to compare the core gameplay, gacha mechanics, art, and animation of both games to really decide which game is better. So with all that being said, let's get into Dokkan versus Legends. It's only right that I start off with the most important aspect of both games, the gameplay. And since I'm a self-proclaimed Legends expert, I think it's appropriate that we start with Legends. As most of you know, it's PvP based, and whether you like it or not, Legends has some unique gameplay for mobile. Legends uses a card system to facilitate PvP, which in some ways is kind of similar to Clash Royale, but not really. The main comparison between this gameplay and Clash Royale's is that the cards are given to you at random, and of course you have to use your energy source to use them. But instead of using the cards to summon characters, you use them as your battle actions, with options of strike, blast, special arts, special moves, and ultimates. All of these cards, depending on the character, being able to have different abilities. And of course, there's gameplay mechanics like vanishing, which allows you to dodge attacks, main abilities, which usually give you buffs or ultimates, and unique gauges and other new mechanics that they add pretty much every single time they release a new hype unit. Now, similarly to Dokkan, each character in the game has a kit with different mechanics and abilities that make them very unique. For example, this Bardock right here has an ability to switch out and add crit buffs to his team. So when you add in everything I just talked about in a 3D battlefield, you get Dragon Ball Legends PvP.
Full range strike, and yep, I'm dead. It's just it's a horrible combination. It's shitty gameplay from me. Broly doesn't do a goddamn thing on the team. I hate all of this shit, bro. He got another grade!
Now, Dragon Ball Legends has multiple different modes, but most of them use the same core mechanics that I just talked about. Except TOP, which, I mean, come on, let's be honest, nobody plays TOP.
This is how you can fall asleep in just 1 minute.
Right, now time for Dokkan. While you may not know this by glancing at my channel, I actually started playing Dokkan before I played Legends, and I played decently consistent for about 6 years before I switched completely to Legends. And as much as I like to joke about Dokkan's gameplay and it just being bubble clicking, it can actually be pretty entertaining depending on who you are. This time around, it's not PvP like Legends, it's PvE. The gameplay is mainly just you going into hard events and challenging bosses from Dragon Ball, and most of the fun comes from collecting, team building, and beating the most difficult events in the game as quickly as possible. Just like Legends, every single character has their own kit and can be put together on certain teams that give them the most synergy. The teams usually consist of units that are all in the same category, a leader, and a friend unit, which are usually the two best units on the team. You then throw this team into an event, then of course you try to beat the event by using your team and smart rotations to beat the boss. Now, when comparing the gameplay of Dokkan and Legends to each other, you can't really do it one-to-one because the gameplay is just so different. And it's really up to your preference, whether you like online PvP against other players, or if you like a more casual PvE experience that's honestly less mentally demanding. Not intellect-wise, just sanity-wise.
I can't take this shit no more, man.
And now that I'm done talking about the gameplay, it's time to talk about one of the most important mechanics in any of these games, the gacha system. Now, both of the gachas in these games get deservedly their fair amount of slack. But when you ignore the fact that both of these games are trying to get you to spend hundreds of dollars for one character, then you'll see that these gachas have their fair share of strengths. And while pretty much no gacha is good, one of these can definitely be less terrible. Let's start with Dokkan. The typical Dokkan summoning experience consists of using 50 stones to summon on a new unit. You can also of course get their form of pity, which is summon coins depending on what type of banner it is, which you can use various amounts to claim units in a shop. And then one positive from Dokkan's side is that they constantly update the animations for new celebrations, unlike a certain game I'm about to talk about. I'm not gonna get on here and nag Legends gacha system because I'm gonna be honest, in reality it's not really worse than Dokkan's at all. They constantly give us step-up banners and high sparking rates, which are better value, and overall the cost of currency in Legends is just much cheaper than Dokkan. But that doesn't mean the gacha system is without its faults. I mean, the pity system, if you even want to call it that, is kind of terrible. While in this one you can typically get the new unit if you just spend enough crystals, the amount of crystals you have to spend to get a measly amount of Z power for a unit is absurd. Oh, and they never update the animations. I mean, come on Legends, you release new LFs and Ultras every month. Is it too much to ask for some new animations from this billion-dollar company? Oh, and speaking of animations, it's time we talk about that. While Legends is a 3D game and Dokkan is more of a 2D animated style, this is still much easier to compare than the gameplay or gacha systems, because it's Dragon Ball. And we as Dragon Ball fans may not know how to read, spell, or write, but we know what Dragon Ball is supposed to look like. And one thing I think these games both do perfectly is look like Dragon Ball. I mean, Legends with its 3D animation style is amazing at the things they do. Some of the animations in this game are better than these AAA games that are out right now. I mean, seriously, some of this stuff is beautiful. And then Dokkan, while I think earlier on in Dokkan, the animations were kind of lackluster, in the past few years, they've really stepped up their game, even incorporating things that haven't been animated before, with unique attacks and references for new characters. I mean, like, look at this. This is beautiful. Which one do I think is better? Honestly, personally, I would side with Legends. Even though Dokkan's animations are beautiful, I just think it's really impressive that we're getting this level of 3D animation in a mobile game. And now it's time to compare the art. Now this has been a large point of debate in both communities for a long time. And personally, once again, I think it's up to your preference. Whether you like the cleaner art of Dokkan or the more stylized and sometimes moving art of Legends. Honestly, I think this was really close up until whenever Legends released Ultras, because oh my god, I don't care if you call it bias or anything, I think these blow any game out of the water. I mean, Ultra card art is honestly some of the most beautiful Dragon Ball art we've ever gotten, and that means a lot coming from a mobile game. But that's not to diss Dokkan. It still has very beautiful art for hype characters. And now it's time for the conclusion of this video. Which game is better, Dokkan or Legends? And while I may be a pretty big Legends glazer, I don't think I'm gonna answer that question, because as cliche as it is, it's not fair at all to compare these two games, because it all depends on who you are and what type of game you prefer. I feel like both games have various strong suits, and it's really up to you to decide which game you like more. So maybe we should stop comparing Dokkan to Legends. Maybe, just maybe, we should just allow people to form their own opinions about both games and decide which game they like more. And maybe this whole Dokkan vs Legends debate is stupid after all. Nah, Legends better. We have KSI.
Okay. Yep.